All right, Tiago, good evening, and thanks for taking the time to join the conversation, to join this episode of my storytelling show. Now, as I briefly explained to you before the call, we want to dive into your story, dive into how you can put threads from storytelling that you have used on your marketing journey. And I usually start with the main things that stood out to me in front of for my guests, like why exactly I would like to hear from you. Obviously, one of the biggest highlighters of your story are the 8 years that you have spent in Google in Dublin, and as a company as it is, with a lot of people over there and a lot of different minds and point of views, I would love to hear what exactly you have learned from your journey over there. Especially, the other factor is your coaching experience that you're currently on for the past years, and the fact that you have taken the knowledge that you have acquired throughout the years and now helping other businesses, other entrepreneurs to use this anti-marketing approach, which, it's really curious from just the title of it. And one of the things that we will need to dive into it is the definition of it. But I would like to welcome you to the show, welcome it to my audience, and just introduce your first years and how exactly you chose the marketing path that you're currently on.
Yes, thank you so much for the intro, Nico. It's a true pleasure to be here. We finally managed to make this happen. Truly very, very happy to be here. Yes, so you made a great presentation. I can work back maybe to the origins almost of it. When I was in my childhood, I was already a very creative kid. I used to love to make movies at home, with my family, also making those stop motion videos with Legos, Playmobiles. And then I would show them to my family and charge tickets, like a cinema experience. And I was loving already the fact that I would generate some emotions to people. I could feel that I was impacting them emotionally. And that fed me very, very much. And I think that's where I started my love for, exactly generating emotions on people and making people laugh and be happy, etc. I think that's part what would be very useful for me in the future. But then I tried to go to the cinema conservatory here in Lisbon, Portugal. It didn't work out. Fell out of love from cinema. Started looking for alternatives. Yeah, maybe advertising. It was close enough TV. But then I, decided, okay, it's marketing, advertising. It's where I want to pursue my career, do my undergrad. But it was a very generic course. So I wanted to a bit more specialize myself in understanding the consumer, the psychology of the consumer. So I did my master's degree in Manchester, United Kingdom, in strategic consumer marketing. And it was a gentleman of 73 years old, a 73-year-old man, Adrian Thomas, that told us, you should look at digital marketing. It's the future, back in 2008. And so then, okay, maybe I should rethink all my whole life and my path should be focused on this, right? So I completely changed my master thesis for exactly to talk about this, like the Google's impacts on, like the Google search engine impact on consumer behavior in the UK. So I was really focused on that. And yeah, it started my path to go to the holy grail of digital world, which was Google at the time. So I came back to Portugal, did some internships, nothing special, but I always had this in the back of my mind, I have to go to Google. So I started using basically what I defend nowadays, we can talk about a bit later, the anti-marketing thing, which is basically to use whatever you have around you, all your network, your connections, to see who knows who that might know someone that works at Google. So I found out someone that knew someone whose girlfriend was at Google. I managed to get that connection, created a very interesting CV using my design skills, like as if it were a Google search for my name, and the search results were my experience, my academic background. And so it captured the attention of someone there at Google. And yeah, I managed to go there.
Now,
2011.
while we were explaining your story, a couple of things stood out to me that connect one to the other. Like, even from your early years, you mentioned that you realized that triggering emotions to the people you love, to your family, it's something that draws you, something that excites you. And basically, this is one of the main, foundations of any marketing activity, any marketing task. Your aim is to trigger some kind of emotion in front of your audience, to your audience. And later on, you connected it to cinema, but then you mentioned that you kind of put it in simple words. You were looking for a more practical approach or a more mass approach, meaning finding marketing, especially with having this teacher, this professor to actually, show you and push you a little bit toward the right path. My question here is like, was it that obvious from the start how to connect, the emotions, the psychology, and, with all the marketing activities, or is it something that you had to realize while experimenting?
Yeah, it was a lot of experimenting and failing a lot. And to all of the mistakes possible. I was, just mostly the first years after working at Google, I came back and tried to, start my own business. And I was committing all the mistakes possible. I was only on my head, I'm going to be a copywriter, read all the copywriting books, trying to make amazing things. But I was doing it out of only on my head. I was not, for too long, I didn't study my audience. I didn't talk to people. I was behind a computer, hiding, trying to be something creative. Maybe people will like it, But that was completely wrong approach for too long. Only recently I understood that we need to talk to people. We need to ask them questions like, what are they feeling? What does it make you, what does it mean frustrations and my pains? What they actually want to achieve, and collect those emotional words, the words that describe exactly how they're feeling right now and not how we think they should feel or want, And then copywriting doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's just reusing the words your audience is actually telling you and communicate to them exactly like that. And then you will immediately resonate to them. Like, yes, I feel like this. My God, Tiago actually knows what I'm going through. And he's the only person that can help me because he knows me so well. Right? So I'm lately, I was too long focused on just in my own head, and that's a big mistake. If you want to start, generating results, you need to know your audience very, very well.
I love the fact that you're saying it like this and you're bringing it up, because obviously, if you don't know who you are selling to, who you are talking to, and what exactly, like, beside the definition of who is your audience, but also what are their problems, at what point do they realize they even have a problem. And this is something that in one of the previous agencies, we mentioned it as a joke, but at the same time, it is essential for everything that you're doing concerning marketing. Start by knowing your audience. Like, once you realize your audience, then you can do whatever you want after this. And talking about your experience and talking about through the storytelling point of view, the hero's journey, obviously one of the first encounters are some kind of obstacles, some kind of hardships, as you already mentioned, a lot of failures. And I want to hear about like what was the specific road to landing the job in Google. You mentioned that you laid eyes on Google, it was stuck idea in your head. So what exactly happened and at what stage do you acquire the job?
Yeah, so I was completely obsessed by the idea. So I didn't see any other option than just getting it. I think it was the first time that I was completely like practicing visualization without knowing what it was. But I was completely, okay, I'm going to go there. I'm there already. Doesn't matter what happens. I was really visualizing myself, and then the interviews went very well because I was completely convinced that this is my job. So doesn't matter what happens here. That combined with the fact that I knew someone there. So there was a referral inside happening, and the CV captured the attention of someone. So it's a combination of factors that led me there. And then I went back to India. I was traveling to India without knowing if I had a job already or not. So I was waiting for the answer. And I was going to temples and putting some wires and with my wishes, and after the trip, okay, the recruiter called me, Tiago, you're in, let's come. It was, I don't know. It was such an interesting part of my life that it went very fast and very smoothly because I was completely in the right mindset. And I think when that happens to us, it's inevitable that we succeed. If we're like obsessed, we're already there. Like there's no other option, So that was not very problematic to go to Google. And most people were not believing in me. I even refused the job here in Portugal because I was someone offered me a job, and I went to that interview on a t-shirt, like without caring even about my looks. And the guy called me saying, "Yeah, when you come here, you came here with a t-shirt and I offered you a job, you're not accepting it." What do you mean you're going to Google? They're not just going to abuse you there. So yeah, I just didn't care.
Would you say it was a good feeling calling, or?
I think so. I think it was a gut feeling, a true belief in myself, and the visualizing helped me a lot. I didn't know what I was doing, but now after studying what self-development, etc., I know it's something that the most impactful, successful people in the world do constantly.
And now you've been there for 8 years, and I'm sure you have covered a lot of, first of all, economic activities and dynamics, which a company as big as Google definitely can feel, emotions, different innovations, different changes in technology, and even regulations in marketing. I know it for 8 years, there will be a lot of lessons and a lot of ups and downs, but what were the main events that happened in those 8 years, and what was the one main lesson that you can take from the full experience?
Yeah, so it's a very fast paced. It's like a year there is like 10 years in the normal world. Everything is changing constantly. But at the same time, they're super well structured. And that's something that I took from my current career, as a solopreneur, which is to have an actual, like a real plan. Like, this is our plan for the year. This is where we want to go. And then deconstructing it for quarters. This quarter, we're going to achieve this. And what are the activities that we're going to do every single day, every single week to reach that specific goal. And that's something that I really took from those years working there. Definitely the organization, the structure, there's also the thinking a bit. That was the thing that Larry Page was the CEO at the time, and said you should establish goals that are uncomfortably exciting. So they should excite you, but they should still be doable enough, but a bit uncomfortable so that it stretches you a bit and you make a bigger effort than you actually need to reach the goals. And that's also something that I took from there. And of course, the market. I was an international growth consultant, so I was helping companies understand consumers. I was making a lot of market research. That's something I took again to understand my audience even better, etc. And of course, I was interacting with some of the biggest corporations in Europe, and with their CMOs. So I learned a ton of things about copywriting and funnels and all the fun stuff. So it was super good. But at the same time, I was feeling a bit limited creatively, because I was just Google ads, and just these companies, and Facebook ads were growing like crazy at the time. I was like, I'm missing the boat, I'm a bit limited. So slowly I started feeling that I needed to unleash my creativity and follow my own path.
A huge part of it was doing market research, getting to know audiences better and customer behavior better. And the more the more digitalized we become, the more data we need to share, and the better down the road, it's just better to understand big data. Like, is there one main, rule or one main thing that you need to look out for when doing a proper marketing research?
I think at Google was very much at scale. So we used so many data points. We had so many access to so many studies, reports, internal Google data that would tell us like search volumes in different countries, demographic data, etc. But also it was a conjunction of those data points that we had, plus market research about the countries, internet penetration in different countries, the consumer behavior, the payment methods that are used to use, different preferences in terms of online interfaces, etc. And also that was a lot of focus on user experience as well. So we understood exactly what people expect in their shopping experience. But it was, I think, after the Google experience, I understood that all those data points work very well for bigger corporations, but for us solopreneurs, it's better to not lose yourself in those data points and simply interact, talk to people. I think that's the best market research you can do as a solopreneur, is to simply talk to 5 to 10 people that you think are in your niche, because you can, have real conversations and make them feel comfortable. It's not something analytical and data oriented, is more emotional. And the gold nuggets.
Now, all right, walk me through this part of your journey, and you mentioned specifically solopreneurs and this little bit more personal approach, more emotional approach, which is, on the other edge of the spectrum when you are comparing with Google, with big data, with, mass production to everything and mass outreach to everything. So what made you do this transition, and are there a lot of big differences besides the one that you mentioned for market research right now?
Yeah, so I hit against a brick wall when I came back to Portugal as a solopreneur, because I had all these ads, funnels, and big data, and I was trying to implement it on my own business, which is it was a mess, because those are strategies for big corporations that are they're at a completely different level. And I was also complicated the life of my clients at the time, because I was using all these very advanced strategies, or trying to, and they just simply didn't work, And then I fell into all the traps that most of us fall into when we get exposed to ads, from people like all the internet gurus telling us, you want funnel away, you should do this, all the shiny objects. I was falling to them, not sticking to anything specifically long enough to have the full potential of it. I was just jumping from tactic to tactic, trying to find something faster result, faster pace. And it's a trap when we fall into that, because we're just looking for something that try it a bit, and then if it works, if it doesn't work, I'll just quit and jump to another one, right? And then it's a never-ending battle. So I had to do something, and I cannot do this on my own. So I finally decided to work with a mentor. So someone that I was following for a long time. His name was Terry Dean, one dinosaur of internet marketing. And he totally helped me complete, okay, let's make it, what's your vision? Where you want to go? Let's make a plan for your years. Do what Google was doing with you, right? And then be very specific on who would value me the most. Who is my ideal customer, right? My specific niche. Who's a person, a specific problem that I can help solve. So that's when I figured out, okay, I'm not going to help any kind of business. I'm going to help these people, that coaches, consultants, service providers, and are helping others achieve specific results, specific outcomes, right? So in this kind of area. And I simplify my approach as much as possible, removed all the complications, complex strategies, and went back to the basics of marketing business. Inspired by a book by this gentleman, J. Abraham, Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. I focused on this last sentence, all you've got.
Added it to my wish list, by the way.
That's where
I'm adding the book to the wish list. Definitely, I want to share it with the audience after this. And this is actually one of
so the all you've got is actually like what you have around you already. You have established relationships, right? We all have clients that we've worked with in the past, contact list, LinkedIn connections. We have audience, of some sort. And the anti-marketing method is exactly that. So you need all the complication funnels and stuff like that. You already have everything you need in your world. And if you are strategic with it, you can start a very cool and fun business.
The fact that you already brought up the anti-marketing mindset, I was guessing that this is the stage where you started developing this approach.
Yeah.
But to sum it up, what I understand, that your anti-marketing approach is simplifying any systems and any complex approaches that you can. So simplify also the copy even, and the story, and any unnecessary detail that doesn't serve your audience at all. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's the goal.
Nice. And just to sum it up, a couple of things that stood out to me, and a couple of previous lessons. The first time I heard this, keep it stupidly short, was from one of my university teachers, my English university teacher. He, wrote on the whiteboard with big letters, KISS, keep it stupidly short. And at this point, for the specific, scenario that we were exploring then, it was just for a summary of a literature text, something that's not necessarily connected to marketing. At this point, I didn't even realize what is copywriting and why should it be short and simple. But year after year, project after project, you get to realize yes, it's much better at the end to keep it short, keep it simple, keep it understandable. Because at the end of the day, whether you're blasting emails or is it Google Ad or it's not on YouTube, whatever the case is, it's a person on the other side that is watching it or reading it. It's he or she, they are consuming the information. And at the end of the day, we're not some machines that we just want the fancy jargon and fancy language, right? We want something that it's human-like, something that's understandable. How? So my question follow up to this question, like how exactly does this connect with the anti-marketing approach? How exactly you pull some of the strengths of storytelling and using different structures and different stages of the hero journey, for example? Do you use them in your anti-marketing approach as a whole?
Yes, I used it a lot when I was very hardcore doing email marketing. Right now, I'll do a bit less of that, but just to go to connect with what you're saying. So absolutely, the idea of understanding your clients as much as possible and extracting their emotional words is exactly to, and then you can go back to them in your communication and exactly reflect what they're feeling, right? So you can start describing, if you're feeling like this, if you go home and your wife doesn't pay attention to you and you're just overwhelmed. So using exactly their words and not just some jargon, some generic words. That's one key thing for your communication. But then of course, in terms of my publications, my posts, etc., I always try to not just spill out some data, some information, some boring 3 tips that you should do this, or 4 or 5 things you should do. That's, people are so used to that already. So it's just noise on the internet. The way I do my posts usually are always with some sort of story, like telling something that happened in my day to contextualize my tip at the end. But it always has to be something that brings attention to people. And stories, like perfectly, they immediately capture your attention. When you start saying like, yesterday I went to this office and then suddenly something happened to me, and then I realized it immediately captures the attention of people because we're so wired to it, right? We are so you're one of the biggest experts in the area, but I absolutely love to use stories because they are an excuse to capture the attention of the person, prepare the mindset for what I'm about to share. Either it's like a short tip or some sort of call to action to subscribe to something, to buy something from me, or etc. It's absolutely the way I love to use any kind of content to differentiate myself from the pack. If you open Instagram, you just see all those reels or those slides with 5 tips or 5 mistakes. And these are absolutely just noise nowadays.
You make me realize it's borderline gossiping. The fact that we want to tell those stories and we're intrigued to listen to those stories. And it's wired in our brains, it's wired in our DNA. But I want to ask you, is it easy for you to pull stories from your daily life and, to make different metaphors? And do you have some kind of process if it's easy for you?
I usually document my processes because I love to first do myself, have success some sort, and then start passing it to others and have success with them. So I usually tell the stories of what I've been trying to do, the mistakes. So I tried this before. It didn't work. It was until I found this specific strategy or something, and these were the results. And then here's what I can do for you to help you. I always try to connect with something that I did in the past, or like you said, a metaphor or some story of my day to day. I can connect with a tip that I want to share, and also stories about my clients. So tell her the story about how it was before, how it was, what was making her feel and get feelings, right? How exactly was it working with me, and what are the final results? So I do very basic arc in my posts and emails, but I always try to make this connection of what was the past, how did it make you feel, what happened, what is the results nowadays. So it's very simple storytelling, but it actually works very well for me.
I think the fact that you focus the most on the emotion that connects, you're looking for what exactly triggered the story. This is why it's easy not to, to focus so much on the structure, but actually win with the story and the emotion. Great tip for this, Tiago. And actually following up on the storytelling and favorite stories and favorite emotions, I I always love closing the episodes and those interviews by asking what is a specific story. It might be from your childhood, from your teenagers, might be from your career, but some kind of story, either fictional or in your real life, that you can always use it as emotion, as a motivation, as fuel for to get triggered to do something, or just something that it brings good memories to you.
That's a good question. One of the things that I'm just reading to my I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I actually went back home to my parents' house, and I brought comic books that I love so much. And I don't know if you know Calvin and Hobbes. It's a very old comic books from my times, from the 90s and 80s and 90s. And it's basically just a kid that lives in his own imagination, and he's happy just with that. So happy with what he has already. It doesn't matter if the world is completely like the parents are against him, the friends that don't interact with him. He lives happily just because of who he is. And of course, he has such crazy adventures in his comic books. But that's the message that I love to share. I want to share with my daughter, and something I also keep in mind for myself, because it's something that I've struggled for a long time in the past, of caring too much of what other people think. That has been blocking you so much and gave you so many anxieties in the past. So many, it blocked my potential so many times that I feel it's something that most people should be thinking about that more actively, and talking to each other about that, because we can be happy on our own. We are happy creatures by nature. Originally, we're all born happy. The babies are happy. There's no problem. We just put limitations in our minds, and mostly because we're constantly thinking of what might people think of me? Oh my God, what do you think about me? And that limits us a lot, right? So a bit rambled a bit, but I think that was the key message.
I love the fact how you summarized it, how you connected to something that a lot of people actually nowadays, I notice that they struggle with. It's normal. It's kind of normal because social media is part of our daily lives, and it's more easy to compare ourselves with others that might be living a fake life, might not be living this kind of life, but just it's easier to compare and to start over those stuff. And I love the fact that you brought up a previous, a story from your childhood, story, like a comic story, a cartoon, and because it's quite common in those episodes, it's quite common answering to this question. And I suppose the core memories that we develop are from the childhood, obviously. So this is something that we usually draw some inspiration from. Tiago, before I close this episode, I just want to let you know that I love this conversation. Thanks again for joining this episode, and let me know if there's something that I forgot to ask you and you insist on sharing with the audience, something that you want to add.
One thing that I'm focusing so much, and we think about it proactively, is about being an entrepreneur. What actually takes for you to live in this life and not quit, right? And one of the biggest things is to have the resistance to when things go wrong, when things fail, and the fact that the strongest skill to develop is to remain calm, and simply. I mean, there's nothing bad in the world is going to happen. There's always going to be problems. And if you react in a calm way and a constructive way, you will be much longer in this world, otherwise, most of us, will quit or go completely crazy, or I would say lose completely your mind. So it's very important to gain this skill of, okay, remain calm. Things going to be okay. Just keep going. Trust the process. That's why you should have a simple goal, a simple path, and something that you can do consistently every day, that no matter what, if things go wrong or if it's not going the same way, you're still going to be consistent and do those simple 1, 2, 3 things. I think that's the enough message I would like to give here.
Nice, a little bit, because it draws from the Stoic philosophy, and obviously this is one of the approaches that I admire, that I also try to follow. Bad things happen in life, good things happen in life. It's just a matter of remaining calm and understanding what is your best approach in the current situation. So thanks for closing this with this message. And I again love this conversation. Thanks for sharing a part of your story. Obviously, if we want to dive into all of the things, all of the experience that you have had over your course, over your journey, it will take a lot of time. So I am looking forward to keeping in touch and, following your journey along, and just getting as many gems from you as we can.
No, David, it was a true pleasure. Thank you so much for this. I love the way the process that you use for interviews is amazing, and how you extract some tidbits, and I love it. Thank you so much for this.
It was a blast. Have a good night, yeah.
Ciao, ciao. See you soon.